Hello, Year 7, welcome back. Today we're sort of starting a new topic, although it's closely related to the topic that we've just been doing. So we've just done a topic on fractions, and then we're just starting a topic that's on decimals, fractions, and percentages. So we'll be learning about how we can later convert decimals to fractions and to percentages and vice versa. And yeah, we're dealing basically with numbers. What do we do with numbers when there are parts of it that are smaller than 1, okay, between 0 and 1? So a decimal is just a number that contains place values smaller than units. Now, some of this will be revision from what you've done in primary school, but by the end of the topic, we'll be doing things beyond what you've done in primary school, a little different. But it's just important that we understand those fundamentals, those core concepts, so that when we start doing the harder things, we're not getting confused or misunderstanding what we're doing. So here's a number, 222, and then there's a decimal point, and then 0.222 after that decimal point. Okay, and we're familiar with the place values of these numbers in front of the decimal point. Okay, so we've got units, and then tens, and then hundredths. But we might be less familiar with the place values of the figures after the decimal point. So it goes to tenths is our first after the decimal point, then hundredths, and then thousandths. It's a bit harder to say, especially if you have a lisp. But it's important that, yeah, we remember that these are the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths after that decimal point. So here's an example of some questions. What is the value of the digit 8 in each decimal? Okay, so in this first one here, it's 0.18, and the 8 is in the hundredths column. So we would say that it's worth 8 hundredths. Okay, or 0.08. So just that value is 8 hundredths. Okay, for part B, okay, this one's a bit easier. It's going to be 8 tens or just 80. Okay, the 8 is in front of the decimal point. It's just in the tens column. That's what that digit represents. Okay, for this one, it's just 8 units. Okay, or just 8. So that's a C. And then for this last one here, okay, we can count the place value after the decimal point. We've got tenths, hundredths, and then thousandths. So it's going to be 8 thousandths, which means that there are 1,001 thousandths that fit into a whole number. Okay, so that's how small a thousandth is. And that's also, we could write it as 0.008, like that. Okay, so it's important we understand those place values of units are smaller than a whole number. Okay, now we also need to be able to understand how their size is ordered, how we can compare the sizes of different decimals. So which decimal is smaller, 0.44 or 0.404? Okay. Now, in the first one, we have, okay, we have 4 tenths and 4 hundredths. Okay, in the second one, we have 4 tenths as well, but we have 4 thousandths. So, because hundredths are bigger than thousandths, this one is going to be the bigger one. So we would say that 0.404 is smaller or less than 0.44. Remember, we can use that less than sign or greater than sign. Make sure the arrow is pointing to the smaller one if you're doing less than. And the big side should be on the big side of the arrow points to the bigger one. Okay, last question here. We're going to arrange the following in ascending order. So ascending means smallest to largest. Okay, if it was descending, it would be largest to smallest, but this one is ascending. So we've got to go find the smallest one first. Now, we've got to look at the place values and say, well, this last one here is only 3 thousandths, and thousandths are the smallest place value in these examples. So we're going to put that one first. Okay, the next one we're going to find is, well, this one here is just 3 hundredths. So that will be the next one. It's bigger than thousandths, but it's not as big as the other ones. And then these last two here, we've got 3 tenths in both of them. And then one of them has 0 hundredths and the other one has 3 hundredths. So the one with 0 hundredths is going to be smaller. We do that one next. And then lastly, we do the one that has 3 tenths and 3 hundredths. So that is the biggest decimal in that list. Okay, so good luck with the questions today. Let me know if you have any questions. Make sure you're uploading it and mark your work before you upload it, just to check that you're on the right track. And I'll see you in the next video.